There are concerns over a rising request for the UK to share intelligence despite torture risks. We're going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline of concerns over the rise in requests for the UK to share intelligence despite torture risks. The UK does not solicit, encourage or condone inhumane treatment, but critics say ministerial approval systems contradict this. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Yes, this is indeed a cause for concern, and obviously from the article here it's saying that when they are acquired, when intelligence is being shared between the UK and other nations, it seems that while they don't solicit, encourage or condone any kind of inhumane treatment, is what they're saying, probably they may be unaware that by giving certain information over to other countries, that is exactly what happens to certain people in other nations. Now, of course, the UK has little powers about what they can do about other nations that are doing these such as things. We know, of course, that there has been some really in such a country such as the United Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia, certain nations in the Middle East, when it comes to some of the treatments and the treatments of how people have been done in Russia, in Russia as well, China, of course, North Korea. But it's not that Russia, China, and North Korea, I would say they share little to no intelligence, I would say, between the two, but there is lines of communications, believe those nations. But if we're talking like nations like the United Arab Emirates, sharing intelligence, for example, and knowing that perhaps it could lead to somebody being caught that's wanted, which you would say is you want justice to be found, but what you don't want is that person ended up going through intolerable and insufferable conditions of torture. That is all down to the fact that the UK shared intelligence that could lead to it. And obviously the rise in requests from the UK should be a little bit cause for concern. Obviously, I don't know if the article is going to disclose any countries, and it probably wouldn't. But we can take a fair shot of some of the nations that are likely who would end up doing some kind of tortures, and I think that is a cause for concern. So I think there needs to be like I don't know if the UK can share intelligence knowing that there's going to be safeguards in place. If by sharing that intelligence you're not going to do this or this A, B, and C to a certain person, like there's no guarantee that they can kind of chase that up, sort of thing, to say, like, we're going to share this information with you that you've requested, but you've got, like, you can't like say to them, you have to promise not to torture them or waterboard them, and it's like you can't really, do you know what I mean, guys? You can't really like supervise that, from in another country. It's just not ideal. So I think this is I'm not sure what the solution here is, because if the UK didn't share its intelligence right, if the UK just kept turning away, then that means that the relationships are not as strong as they used to be, because every nation wants to crack down on justice and crime and whatnot. At least that's the perception that we have. And the UK obviously has vast intelligence that other countries want. So it's interesting to say the least, is what I will say. But obviously, I don't want whatever intelligence the UK gives out ends up leading to someone's experiencing great deals of inhumane torture and whatnot. And I think I think that is a cause for concern. So there were a number of requests for UK ministerial approval, intelligence sharing, where there was a real risk of torture, unlawful killing, or extraordinary retention that has more than doubled in a year. The Investigatory Powers Commissioner report outlined the rise comes after a parliamentary debate on Monday, in which MPs from across the political divide questioned the adequacy of the UK's policy on torture under the Fulford principles. The human rights group Reprieve said that the increase to 8 cases in 2022 from 3 months in 2021 in which Reprieve was sought for intelligence sharing with overseas authorities where there was a real risk of torture, unlawful killing, or extraordinary retention was concerning. Dolan, the Reprieve Director of Policy and Advocacy, said these ministerial referrals represent real people at risk of being tortured, something that our government profoundly to find abhorrent. When the number of requests is doubling and officials have admitted 95% get signed off, it's clear the system is broken. The Fulford principles are not fit for purpose, and it's good to see MPs calling for reform. Well, that's that. If you're just signing it off without thinking about the consequences of it, then there needs to be a reform to the Fulford principles. Then, if that's the case. The 95% figure refers to the entire spectrum of cases in which authorisations is sought. 104 in total in 2022. So you had 104 in total in 2022. 17 of risk had a real risk of cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment. This is CIDT. It is unknown whether approval was given to individual cases. No, it's impossible for they would not. Then I think even if you made a freedom of information request, there's no way they would give that. UK government policy is that it does not participate, solidate, encourage, or condone any of these activities, but critics say the ministerial approved system contradicts this statement. Monday's common debate concerning their investigatory powers amendment bills and include discussions of the new clause 3 tabled by Conservative MP David Davis, which would create an absolute prohibition on handing over information to an overseas authority where it was a possibility of torture or CIDT. He told MPs, "I'm afraid that each year we are seeing more cases in which the UK seeks to share intelligence despite a real risk of torture. There is no doubt that our intelligence agency do a difficult and sometimes dangerous job, but getting mixed up in torture does nothing to keep us safe. It undermines the civilised values that we stand for." Labour's Dan Jarvis, the Shadow Security Minister, said clause raised 3 important issues on accountability when sharing intelligence with foreign governments that could result in torture, not at least in relation to the parameters of the decision-making process by foreign secretaries, and raises important questions about the sufficiency of the Fulford principles. A government spokesperson has said that the UK government does not participate in, solicit, encourage, or condone the use of torture, of a cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment on any purpose. Our priority is the safety and security of the UK and the people who live here. We welcome IPCO's Investigatory Power Commission's Office critical oversight role, ensuring the proportionate use of investigative powers by intelligence and security agencies and partners. We don't know enough to know about this, if I'm honest, guys. So I feel like we are kind shooting whispers in the winds of some sorts. Like in this one, it really is like on the edges of the answers of we don't actually know. We can only speculate, but we could say that this may. I don't know if it's right to say that this is that they're just getting signed off willy-nilly just because of the Conservatives. I don't think that's a fair thing to say. I could be wrong, and some people may argue that, but I do think that there needs to be more safeguards of some sorts before approving such information out there, knowing that it could lead to those kind of unlawful killings or extraordinary retentions. But I think it is something that should be talked about. But obviously, it's not something that can be talked. I don't think it's enough that can be talked about in the public. I think they get a case-by-case basis and individuals as well. It's an issue. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this sharing intelligence, knowing that it could potentially lead to someone being tortured or killed and whatnot? That person could be deemed innocent. What do you guys honestly think about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.